That's the name of this show, and that's who I am, Charlie Simons. Do not talk. Well, we do talk about politics and religion. Let's talk about it now. I got Vem Miller on the show. Vem, Vem, Vem Miller is a fellow podcaster and broadcaster, and somebody I like talking to. He's got some good input. He's one of those gutless. Gut, he's one of those people that gutless wonders fear. He's got enough guts for both of them. Uh, he uh, he doesn't back down, and I like that. I like people like that. Those people I like to hang around. I am on several platforms live right now. I've opened up the comments room. I often forget to do that, so everybody is watching live. You can't actually comment right now. I think it's through Facebook, might be through YouTube. Shoot, I don't even know. I'm a broadcaster from way back where I lived and died by the ratings. That's all that you thought about. That's all that consumed you was how you can get more listeners, how you can keep them watching longer, how you can get people to actually show up at events. How can you be engaging? How can you be topical? And everybody had a say in how to be better, and everybody had a say as to who you needed to sound like. I was around in the Bay Area when Howard Stern really hit the scene, and everybody was freaking out because Howard Stern was coming to town. Well, I've been at the mercy of what they call consultants. Consultants are DJs for the most part who got a promotion, kind of like creepy judges who really have no better thoughts or sway or power other than what's been given to them by others, and they have deemed this attorney, which is all a judge is. Never forget that they're just an attorney who got a promotion. That's it. And you know how I feel about attorneys. Well, same with the DJs. You know, you got one DJ that suddenly gets promoted here and gets an article written about him in Radio and Records magazine. That's going back. Nobody knows R&R anymore. Billboard, whatever it is. Um, and next thing you know, they're a consultant. I'm going to tell everybody else how to be better. I'm going to tell everybody else how to have better ratings, and you're going to pay me a lot of money to do it. And the problem was with broadcasting is there became a paradigm shift, and it happened really, I know exactly when it happened. That freaky sex addict Bill Clinton was president. He deregulated the ownership rules in the FCC, made it to where you didn't have to super serve the public anymore in your community where your station was licensed or your newspaper, your radio, television. You used to have to super serve your community. That's what it was all about. That's why there was a Federal Communications Commission to make sure you did follow the rules and the guidelines and the bylines. So everybody was all afraid of the FCC because they'd fine you and they'd shut you down. They'd take away your license if you broke the rules and that kind of stuff. They used to have actual power. Well, Bill Clinton ruined all that. He ruined all that. He took away the ownership rules. It used to be to where no one entity could dominate everything you're going to see, read, and hear in any particular market. That's what we call broadcast market. San Francisco is not just that's the San Francisco market, but it also includes Oakland, Berkeley, all the different Bay Area where you have that influence over that whole area. Well, that's a market. And San Francisco is the fourth largest market in the nation because of the sheer population size. Los Angeles is number two. Um, Used to be Dallas or Miami was number three. I don't remember now. But the number one biggest population wise influence, power, money, advertising was New York. It was all about New York. That was number one. So if you worked in the New York market, man, you were under a microscope all the time. Now, I never made it to New York because I didn't even try. I didn't want to. I did mornings for a long time and worked in the San Francisco Bay Area, Los Angeles, a little bit of San Diego, mostly Sacramento, well, Northern California for the most part, if I could, because I'm not a SoCal fan. So Howard Stern, everybody's talking about Howard Stern from New York, and he's now syndicated, and everybody's picking up Howard Stern, and that was all That was all. Oh, yeah, yeah. That was the beginning of the end of radio. Everybody started freaking out about that because Howard Stern was getting tremendous ratings because people were attracted to his stupid ass potty mouth. What does Howard Stern have other than that? I'm not kidding. He's not funny. He's not funny. He has funny people on, but he's not personally funny. He's irreverent and pathetic. And he comes into San Francisco and he's going to win. We're all going to lose our jobs. We're all going to get replaced. And I have consultants telling me I have to sound more like Howard Stern. We're looking for Howard Stern style morning show. Well, I'll tell you what, I have double digit ratings right now in our target demographics in the fourth largest market in the nation. I'm doing all right. You're telling me now that I have to change everything? You want me to sound more like Howard Stern? Why don't you leave Howard Stern to those who are attracted to that crap and let me keep doing what I've been doing that has been working? I don't know. Just a thought. That's what we were up against in the business. I bring all this up to tell you now that I'm in the podcasting world and I'm part of alternative media, and I don't even give a flip what's happening with networks or big corporate media anymore. I don't care. Vem Miller, my guest, said, how long have we got? I mean, because you're not supposed to go over 30 minutes on a podcast because you lose people's interest and they go away. I go, well, look at Joe Rogan. He'll go 2-3 hours. What are you talking about? He's the most watched pod. Well, he was. I think Candace Owens has now got more viewership recently. I don't know if that's going to stay, but anyway, and he's never done like a news show kind of thing. It's always interview stuff. And he gets in depth and he asks personal questions and he doesn't care about being real. I love that. Of course, he's a potty mouth too, and people are always going to be attracted to that for some bizarre reason. I don't know what that is. They get all giddy and squealy when somebody says the F word. What's wrong with you? Anyway, Vim said, how long have we got? I said, buddy, if we're having a good time, we have as long as we want. I don't care. We're on Rumble now. Screw YouTube. Rumble.com/do not talk. It's where you're going to find me. And yo, you want one of these mugs like this just in time for Christmas? Telling you what. That's a beauty. Big old 15-ounce mug. And I got shirts and hats and everything at charliesimons.com. You want to support this show? Or you're thinking like, yeah, I don't care. Because he goes too long on his interviews and he talks about personal stuff. And yeah, I don't like him all that much. I want to go over to Joe Rogan so I'll hear him say the F word and I'll get a little squealy and get some tinglies in my nether regions. That's so funny. Point being, I'm going to riff with Vem Miller now on the show. You want to come along? Join us. You want to comment? Do so. If you don't, you don't. But if you decide to tune out and it's not worth it to you, let me wish you a happy Thanksgiving, because this is like the day before Thanksgiving that we're actually shooting this show. And depending on when you watch it, Merry Christmas too. And see you later. Sayonara, sucker. Let's bring in Vem Miller on Do Not Talk. Ready? Hit it.
How you doing, Charlie?
Plus, you add in the fact that I run my own board. I don't have a big old producer. I don't have people telling me what I have to talk about and all that. And it's just like, good heavens, this is rank amateur hour right here on this show.
How's it going, brother? How are you?
Vim, I've gone through some trials. I'll be real honest with you. I got some personal stuff, some physical stuff. I'm still not even seeing out of my left eye, not very well at all. Actually, I had my fourth major surgery on it. I walked around for 5 months. I didn't even have a lens in my left eye.
Oh, wow.
Now I do. They've sutured one in, and now I got swelling here and this and that. My eyes suck. They didn't used to, but I had a very bad doctor who jacked me up with the cataract surgeries. But But all that aside, it's nothing compared to what you went to, my friend. As we were in the San Diego area at San Marcos, I get I think it was a text from you, Vim, about how you had your car stolen.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Crazy
you
stuff
were
happened.
there for you were there. You were there for that big what do they call it again? The California Governor Showdown.
Yeah.
Take Our Power Back, California Governor Showdown. I love Kim Yater. She did a great job with that. You were one of the people invited to broadcast from the event. I'm always happy when I walk in and I see Vim there. I've become quite a fan of yours, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was fun. That was an amazing event. I mean, what a crew with like Kim and her, her team, like just putting miracles together. I mean, that was a really professional production with such an independent crew. So I'm hoping there's a lot, bigger and better. And I think like we're off to a really good start. Great candidates. I think we have such great candidates too. There's
let's talk about that. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Two things. One is what the hell's wrong with half the MAGA movement in the Republican Party that seems to be suddenly dead set against everything my president does. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was the one thing everyone asked me after that event was, well, who do you think won? Who do you think is the standout as a candidate? Who's going to win as governor of California? And I said, you know who won? Were all the people who were there that nobody had heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Because the media's been ignoring them. So I mean, I met for the first time Ryan Tillman.
Mm-hmm.
Strong, dude.
Yeah, really good candidate. Ryan's a great guy. Yeah,
I'd like to hear even more from Louis Herms. I've become quite a fan of his.
I love Louis. I think Louis is amazing. Yeah,
Leo Naranjo's a kick. He's a lot of fun. He doesn't pull any punches.
Yeah.
Also, Steve Hilton, of course, I've always thought has some great potential. But the bottom line is there were 13 total up there?
13 candidates.
Chad Bianco was a no-show, by the way. And I think that's because you were there.
Do you think so? I don't know. I think honestly, with Chad, he's a little worried because hard questions, man. Hard questions. There's certain questions that are hard to answer since he's dug his, knees in the ground literally with this whole BLM thing. I mean, I don't even talk about the stuff that he did with this whole third assassin host because there's so much great material out there about Chad. I mean, there's a lot.
You and I've covered that show. Go back and watch that show I did with Vim where he talked about what Chad Bianco did, targeting Vim, and making it sound like he was there to assassinate then candidate Donald Trump. It was crazy as it all unfolds, and I know you probably can't even talk a lot about it because there's legal action involved now.
No, I've been talking about it like crazy because I think that's the one thing where I disagree with people that stay silent, and I know people. I got a lawyer that understands the media aspect, and he's like not really tried to have me not talk. He's actually given me pretty free reign because he's also kind of a media savvy individual. And that's made this a lot better, man. Honestly, it's like not being able to speak about it. Because what happened was, once he did that, he obviously, and then he ran for a governor, he obviously made me an adverse party, right? And so just like in anything else, you and I, like we know when we get passionate about a candidate, like when we, fought for Trump so much, and on the inverse of that, like fighting against Kamala, and I said a lot of stuff about Kamala, and I've never met Kamala. She's never called me an assassin, but she was a terrible candidate, And so similarly, it's like now Chad has been on my map since this whole third assassin hoax, and I really just want to expose him. But at the same time, like we did in this debate where we interviewed a lot of people. I just released an interview where I got, I think, 6 people back to back. I call it speed dating, where each guy gets about 10 minutes. So in an hour, you get to meet 6 candidates. And that's really where my heart's at right now. It's not so much continue to pound Chad Bianco is a bad candidate as much as it is about some of these amazing candidates. I mean, you mentioned some of them, like Ryan Tillman's awesome. Louis Herms is awesome. I almost feel bad because I've kind of always said, Daniel Mercury is like my favorite one. I really like that.
Same here. I didn't even mention Daniel Mercury, but you're absolutely right. He is absolutely. If I were to say, okay, I think I'll lean more towards one than the other, it would be Mercury. He's an extraordinary gentleman.
And it's kind of like by a hair because I love a lot of these guys. I love Serpa. I think Serpa knows exactly what the problems that need to be addressed are in California. Herm certainly does. Ryan certainly does. I even was so surprised by Leo Naranjo and Leo Zaki as well. I think we have some really good people, and it's like I can't even say I'm opposed to any of these individuals. I think truly the only person I'm really opposed to would be the mustache sheriff, my brother. That's the one that I'm opposed to. Other than that,
and we have people in our own party that are angry at us because we're daring to speak honestly and openly about Chad Bianco when they look at him as the only one who can win, and he's out there saying that. You better back me because nobody else can win. I'm the only one who can win. He keeps saying that.
I mean, it's a ridiculous proposition because when you're actually running for governor and you're deep in the race, and we're still pretty early on, I mean, I'm even hearing that there's probably 2 or 3 new individuals coming in this already really crowded race, right? But as you get deeper into the race, what happens is all the niceties go away. Right now, the candidates are like, oh, we don't want to talk crap about Republicans. Come March, come April, when it's like, okay, now you got to really beat your opposition. Now is when the knives start to come out. And then the Democrats, if they ever get involved, meaning Chad Bianco is ever running against the Democrats, then all the knives are going to come out. So all these things that we're seeing with the 8% crime solving rate, the BLM kneeling, the third assassin hoaxing, the prison deaths, the crime cover-ups. And I mean, there's just so much stuff about Chad Bianco. For these individuals to think that, like, okay, censor us, and you and I have been censored. I've been really censored. I get kicked out of Facebook chats all the time, or Facebook rooms all the time when I say anything bad.
You still have a Facebook page?
I do, and it's actually been doing really well. Except they won't let me into any of the California rooms where they're talking about Chad Bianco, and it's very obvious those are like propaganda machines for Chad.
But yeah, they deleted every single one of my pages 5 months ago and my Instagram.
Oh wow. Wow.
They didn't even bother explaining why, other than I violated some community standard. They didn't even tell me what it was. And they've responded to no correspondence I've sent to them. I'm gone. 40,000 people, suddenly, boom, I'm out of their life.
There needs to be fines and like, hey, if you could prove that they're just doing that maliciously, they need to be punished for that. It's ridiculous that
I agree.
Actually, it's hard to build a social media account. I mean, it's devastating. And some people do this business, and that's like overnight devastation for somebody,
And it has hurt me tremendously because I have no way of letting people know. I put all my eggs in the meta basket, and that's my mistake. I shouldn't have. But I did because I thought, well, that's number one. It's the most viewed. Everybody's on Facebook. I'll just go with that. And I put everything in there into promoting what I was trying to start and build with this podcast. So when Facebook went away, my numbers dropped dramatically from like thousands to hundreds.
It sucks. That sucks too. That's horrible, man. I mean, happened to us recently with TikTok. TikTok's like a bunch of jerks because they just like canceled it. No warning, no nothing. I don't even know what it was. I don't think we even did anything bad other than probably offended the Chinese Communist Party because, it's like you could almost post nothing over there, Right. But yeah, it's kind of like I'm excited. A lot of these guys were talking about in California race, and I just hope, like, the big thing, Charlie, is money, right? Like, if you could put, $10 million behind any one of these guys, Serpa, Mercury, Herms, Naranjo, I mean, you name them, Zaki, I don't want to miss any of them, Tillman, any one of these guys has $10 million behind them, and they're genuinely the best candidate out there. I'll say that they will be the best candidate out there.
Every single person on that stage was better than anything with a D in front of its name. We have a strong bench.
Most of the Democrats have the personalities of wallpaper, like for real. Like they have no character, no personality. I just look at some of the stuff with like the comedy coming out of Serpa. It's like it's like just top level comedy, and that's kind of what you want in a candidate is character. It's like the guys we named, I think, have the policy ideas. They know where the problem areas are. Certainly, I got to tell you, I get really excited when Daniel Mercury talks about people violating the Constitution, being arrested for treason against the Constitution.
Right.
Which, these are rights that we have. We have these rights in our Constitution. It's just we deal with a bunch of complete pussies. Complete pussies. These people, and I know we could cuss on here. It's awesome. Like they're such pussies, everybody, Republicans, Democrats are I'd say I respect the Democrats a lot more than I do the Republicans, because as wacky as their ideas are, boy, are they dedicated even in a time of loss, right? Our side, on the other hand, it's kind of like in the time of victory, I don't think, I just think, there's a lot more that could be done. And this isn't Trump, by the way. I think Trump is, far from having that characteristics of fear. But I think, where do you start? Where do you end? It's like Mike Johnson, is a perfect example of somebody that could be doing a lot more. Pam Bondi, it's like we still haven't seen wholesale arrests, even though we know, look, we know the pipe bomber, we know the identity of the pipe bomber right now. That was a conspiracy. A lot of people went to jail. It's like defrauding the government, and like nobody's arrested. That is literally a treasonable, like hanging type offense, but like nothing's happening. So I don't know, dude. I don't want to go on a dark tangent, but it's like I wish there was a lot more happening.
Let's go there. I watched AOC with a bullhorn downtown in her district, screaming at people, ICE is coming, hide, ICE is coming, hide. That is impeding, if nothing else, a federal investigation. Why is she not wearing a jumpsuit?
People are scared. They're just scared to arrest people. And I've talked to individuals about this. Like, everybody's aware that, literal high crimes are being committed a lot in this country. And, there's just fear out there. And it scares me, man. It scares me because I kind of looked at this as like, okay, Donald Trump, he's going out there to smash up the system, and come 2028, we'll have a lot of things cleaned up. But the way this is going, I worry for 2028. I worry that if the wrong things happen and the wrong people that come to power, they're going to try to impeach him again if we lose 2026. So it's going to turn into another circus, a shit show. And then what happens in 2028? I'm worried, looking at Bolsonaro, for example, 27 years in prison by these commie Marxist judges in Brazil that all should be hung. They all should be hung. They're a piece of crap. But it's like Bolsonaro that's doing 20 years, 7 years in prison. So you could imagine scenarios where if the wrong people come to power, Charlie, we might be going to jail, bro. We might be going to Guantanamo Bay because people are not cool with our podcast. Like, think about that. That's a real thing. Think about what's happening in the UK right now before our eyes, where,
Yes, and Australia and Canada.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man.
They're being arrested for Facebook posts.
Yeah, like dude going to jail. I know one that was put in prison for 8 years because of Facebook posts in the UK. There's another person, I think 2 years. I don't think people understand. And man, I did an interview with David Serpa where he said something to the effect that I don't know if people are ready for me yet, right? Because of how hardcore he goes about these issues, about like really attacking them in the dire situation we're in, right? Maybe people need to go a few meals, like maybe things need to crash, like, go without a few meals. Maybe people need, something needs to crash for people to be suddenly awake and be like, dude, this is not the smart direction right now. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's, yeah.
What's going on with the MAGA party? And really it is its own entity. It's kind of like the Tea Party on steroids, we want to make America great, period. And now we have a man in power that we worked very hard to get there, and people finally woke up enough to go, yeah, I think this is the time. And now our own folks are taking shots against him, dramatic, very serious shots against him, talking about he's not doing this, he's not doing that, he's not doing enough. That's it, I quit. I'm not supporting him anymore.
I think part of it is disappointment with Pam Bondi is definitely a significant factor, I think, in that a lot of the expectations have not yet been met. And then you have a lot of questions about Susie Wiles, but you have Trump definitely, jumping in there to support her. Kennedy saying,
why? I don't get that.
I've had questions about Susie Wiles, since 10 months before the election when Thomas Renz did an expose on her. And frankly, Alex Jones wasn't even interested in that because it was such a third rail type topic. She's quite powerful. And I saw how Renz paid a price for that. This was 10 months before the election. So I think a lot of the patriots have had Trump's back. I think the issue is honestly hiring, man. I just don't know why. Like a General Flynn. I mean, I know why. I think it's because there's a lot of billionaire and globalist powers that are pressuring him to make these decisions. But why not bring somebody like a General Flynn to clean up the mess? Why not bring somebody like an Ivan Raiklin, Thomas Renz? These are guys that through the darkest of times, this is where I have an issue with MAGA, is that frankly, like 2001, January 6, 2001, all the way until Trump got into power on January 20, 2025 was pretty sucky times. It was pretty horrible. We felt like we could be arrested. We felt like we're like inches away from the UK. Our social media started being shut down. Our business was ruined. So coming like out of that, I think the expectations were like more like, no, the whole deep state is going down. This stuff that Julian Assange is talking about, where 95% of Congress is compromised. Well, we're going to see the Epstein files come out, and we're going to see all the people that are compromised. And frankly, and again, I don't want to go into dark places, but in my humble opinion, the only way to fix this complete and utter mess is to replace a lot of people in Congress, a lot of the cowards, a lot of the Republican rhino cowards, right? Otherwise, it's like, man, it just feels like, okay, we're not like driving at 1,000 miles an hour towards the cliff anymore, which is what it felt like in the Biden regime. It just feels like we're still driving. We have the handbrakes on. We might be doing like 2 miles, 3 miles an hour, but we're still heading for that cliff. Unless we really clean things up. At least that's my opinion, Charlie. I hope I'm not like, I don't know. I hope I'm not like totally off the mark here with, where your thoughts are at,
Well, there's a lot of Congress people now that are talking about resigning, or they're not going to run again because of all the death threats. And it's so hard. It's so hard to be in there. Listen, I can tell you all kinds of stories about having death threats and what that's like living that way.
We're like the death threat masters over here, yo.
Exactly. So I don't want to hear it. Yeah, just get out of the way. Go ahead, step down, resign. I hate that. What just happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene? Damn.
I know.
What just happened with her? But even with Kevin McCarthy, when he got taken his leadership away, instead of going, well, you know what though, I still made a promise to all the people who put me into office. I'm still going to represent my constituents till as long as they'll have me, I'm going to keep supporting them and fighting for them. No, instead he said, if I can't be speaker, I quit. He quit. Marjorie Taylor Greene is now quitting on all her folks, and all these different other representatives are talking about stepping down because it's just too hard and it's too much work. Too much work.
Yeah.
So, I saw another quote too from somebody that's like, it was, I'm paraphrasing, but it's almost like, oh, it's just not glamorous anymore.
Wow.
I'm so sorry that it didn't meet your expectations, Your Highness. Talk about kings. Talk about kings. And so many of them are now talking about quitting, and many of us are thinking, oh, shoot, well, that's a chance for more Democrats to get in there and so on and so forth. And all the redistricting, what just happened with Prop 50 in California, we're screwed. California, we're screwed. Unless that is stopped in the courts, I don't see how, but unless it is, we're done. We're not going to get a Republican governor next year. And Steve Hilton's answer to that when I had him on the air was, well, like President Trump has just got to be too big to rig. Have you forgotten where you live now, Steve?
Yeah.
California. They don't care how big it is to rig. They're going to rig it. And they don't care if it doesn't look right anymore, because the attitude is, what are you going to do about it? We'll shut you down and shut you up, little old Charlie Simons. You just sit over there and talk about your love of dogs. How about that? Why don't you just do shows about
Mhm,
dogs? Why don't you
mhm.
let the well? That's not no. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep representing. Um, but we're in a very volatile time right now for the election next year, November 2026. We're in a very volatile time. I don't know what's going to happen anymore. I thought this was a done deal. People are going to see President Trump closed the border. President Trump has been making tremendous inroads with the economy. These are the things we're supposed to care about. He's bringing safety back to communities in areas that have been plagued by rampant crime for decades, for so long. He's bringing a stop to it. He's making things happen. But I don't like the fact that he took the COVID shot, so I'm not going to support him. That kind of
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
I've been hearing from my own party members.
yeah, yeah. That is such a ridiculous argument. I mean, in terms of Nevada, sorry, in California, um, I got to tell you, Charlie, like the lack of organization has been really scary. And again, this is not a national Trump issue. It's like, these candidates were not properly vetted, which is, by the way, which is so awesome about what Kim Utter's doing and her team's doing, because they're actually, I was like looking at how this thing turned out, and I'm like, this is exactly what the California GOP should have done, and we, the people, would have been very happy.
Yeah,
We would have been like, all right, we're unified under a candidate, as opposed to
you're
there
right.
being 13 candidates, and by the way, more coming shortly, right? This complete and utter disorganized shit show. Because the way you win California is you get organized a lot sooner than what we are right now, November, end of November 2025. You plan this stuff way ahead of line. You even might run like a third party decoy candidate, because that R in front of your name in California is just, some people are too brainwashed to get beyond that, even though California is burning. And most of these people, if that person was an independent, might consider, right? So let's talk strategy. Let's talk, you run one big candidate, you do it in an organized way, you vet out people like Kim Yeater just vetted out 13 different candidates, actually resulting in a lot of people being able to, say who their favorite was. I'm seeing that there's a lot of, or I'm hearing that there's a lot of unity in terms of who the top 2 or 3 are. And then you present that candidate that all of us, we the people, have already vetted, as opposed to, hey, you got to sign on for this corrupt sheriff that has like a resume of bad stuff, taller than he is, literally. You know what I mean? That's like, and then now you got to go convince Democrats to conceal all the things we're trying so hard to conceal, so the people don't find out. Good luck with that plan. I mean, that's just such a disaster of a plan. Like, you're going to lose really bad, right?
Absolutely right. Why isn't the Republican Party putting on something like what Kim Yeater just did? She's not part of the Republican Party other than being one of them, being a Republican. But other
Because
than
Kim
that, she's
Yeater's a
not on
badass.
an executive committee. She's not doing any of that, making this
Yeah.
stuff happen.
Yeah.
Why isn't the party doing these kind of things?
Let's talk about Kim Yeater being such a badass that she actually puts it on in her team and the amazing people. And I'm not going to try naming all of them. I mean, Kelly's one that comes to mind. I know I'm going to forget people, but there was so many amazing patriots working their butt off to make that happen. That's a difference. Passion. It's because we want to make this country great again. We want to make this state again. The state is falling off of a cliff, right? Unfortunately, the party is run by a bunch of country club Republicans that I don't think have a semblance nor seem to care about what regular people think, so much so that they decide the candidates like some, Soviet dictator. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, the whole thing is just already so commie in its nature that, like, this has to be, I think one of the things that needs to happen in 2026 is a complete destruction of the current elitist Republican Party in California that shoots itself in the foot and doesn't vet really good candidates, and in fact goes against good candidates. I mean, if you watch my interviews with Serpa, Mercury, Zaki, they talk about Herms, they talk about conspiracy where, these guys were lured in like Trojan horse style into a debate when they've already decided that regardless of what happens on the stage, Chad Bianco is going to win the debate, so it just, I mean, come on, dude. It is just, this is ridiculousness. It really is. It's idiocracy. That's the California Republican Party's, idiocracy, and that needs to be changed if we're ever going to have a chance of getting a good candidate out there.
It's like they enjoy being in second place because it's easier to fundraise.
Yeah,
and it all comes down to money. It all comes down to I'm a delegate. I've been a delegate of the party now for a couple of years. I've been to several conventions, and it has become so apparent to me. They're all about just money. Everything's money, and I'm so frustrated with the whole dang thing. I love my state. I've been here all my life. I'm a native Californian, but I get it. My friends who have left and they don't regret it. I get it because there's no light at the end of the tunnel in this state now. I just don't see it, especially with this Prop 50 being absolutely passed, and it's so illegal. It's unconstitutional. But
it's crazy. It's crazy being allowed.
But it doesn't matter. They've already drawn the district lines, and guys like Kevin Kiley are being literally drawn out of a gig. And I haven't heard him. I mean, he won't even be on my show because I asked too many questions like this. I guess it's disappointing. It's sad.
I mean, he's going to be drawn out of a gig, but yet he doesn't have the cojones to like go into a raging inferno style. I mean, I've heard about Kevin. I don't know much about him. I mean, this is part of the issue, man. Here's the deal. And we're going through something right now because we do a lot of different activism in terms of, journalism, exposing stuff, lawsuits, which is a new thing where we're just filing lawsuits to basically unseat corrupt individuals, right? So we're up to, and we launched a new brand called the Media Assassins, pretty much for this purpose, named after the third assassin hoax, by the way. So we had to figure out, okay, we learned a lot of things from, and when I say we, I'm talking about my business partner and a couple of people I work with, where we learned a lot of things from me getting called the third assassin, which is that as little people, even despite the censorship, you could get the truth out there and go after bad guys and expose them, right? And that causes damage. Even now, I haven't laid a finger on the Chad Bianco situation in terms of talking about, what he is on a public level since July. Nonetheless, when I go to, post on Facebook and, X and all these other social medias, people are repeating the stuff that we had exposed almost I don't know, 9 months, 10 months ago. So that is something that seems to be working well. I think, we have to get a lot more aggressive with the communist Marxist, the atheist Marxist agenda, that's what this is. This comes down to an atheist Marxist agenda. If you track down who the bad guys are, they're usually atheists and Marxists, right? You know what that means. And by the way, you got to look at China, what's happening right now, because China is a glimpse of the future since they're so dominant right now, right? The way I pitch this to people is the following. Anybody from yoga instructor or yoga individual, and I'm talking on a spiritual scale, all the way up to the Orthodox priest, needs to be scared about the Marxist atheist agenda that is coming from the Chinese Communist Party. Because if you look at what happened in the Chinese Communist Party, there was 100 million I think it's called Falun practitioners. And what that is really just, for most, people that aren't really familiar with it, it's like a yoga-like practice. It's a yoga-like practice for dealing with anxiety, stress, and it's considered a religion in China. Well, China at one point was really into the Falun Gong individuals, but then decided that it doesn't fit their atheist Marxist agenda, right? So now you have the Chinese, in our terms as Californians and Americans, it's basically like the government of California suddenly deciding that, yoga and Pilates is illegal, okay? Because it's a spiritual practice that takes you out of the atheist Marxist agenda. You start believing in anything. Okay, so now we're talking about, girls in Venice that are like, I'm spiritual, right? That could be arrested under the atheist Marxist agenda. So what does that do is everybody in California needs to look at the following. You have two options. One is the atheist Marxist agenda, and that involves basically killing and imprisoning everybody that believes in anything, even yoga, right? Which is what the Chinese Communist Party has already done in the 90s, and they are still doing until today in their persecutions. Or you have the people that believe in something, anything. Buddhists, Jesus people, you got people that believe in yoga, and then people that are spiritual, people that believe in crystals. So guess what? all of us at this point, when you look at the future of the world, have to be on the same side. If you believe in anything, then you need to be on the same side, because you're going up against the atheist Marxists that believe in nothing. And when you think about why they believe in nothing and the reasons for that, all the different religions, including Buddhism, including, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, indicate the fact that people that don't believe in nothing are a danger to the future of the world. And you could statistically show this sort of thing, right?
The attitude here is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I see that with these atheist communists that you're talking about partnering up with Islam.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, Stalin has
realize these people want you dead, but they're going to buddy up with you right now. But they want you dead. Ultimately, they're going to take over. Their caliphate is going to. Everyone's going to be Muslim. Period. You're either going to comply or you're going to die. Those are your choices.
Could I say my theory?
Was that?
Could I say my theory about that topic?
Yeah, please do.
I think the atheist Marxists are the kind of top of the food chain. They're the masterminds, right? So they're going to use the Islamic folks to kill all of us because we're infidels and we don't deserve to live. We're less than dogs, according to Islam, if you go look deep into the Quran. But then guess who's killed next? At that point, imagine we have robots. We already have robots. And imagine the rulers of the world. So, these Islamic caliphate types, they've done their work. Boom, hit a button, drones, whatever, the whole thing is done, end of the story. I really think the top of the food chain, yes, Islam is a big threat, but when you look at that pyramid, the top is the atheist Marxists, then it's Islam, and then, everybody else, I guess.
I want to go full screen on here so we can see your backdrop.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Blood money.
Blood money.
That's
Tell us about blood money.
I got to flip it the other way, though. Now that we see it full screen, it's backwards, right? Or is that just...
No. That's just on your screen. We're seeing it.
Oh, right. Good. Okay,
good. What's the story there?
Blood Money is just a podcast I've been doing. We've been up to episode 311. Actually, episode 311 was the 6 candidates from the California race. And it's just what I called my podcast, because as you could tell, I'm a cynical person. I'm like, hopium does nothing for me. I'm a realist, and when I look at it, it's like everything seems to be, or at least the majority of things seem to be blood money, if you really dive into it. And so that's a problem, I think, with our country. We have so many different institutions that are, essentially blood money against Americans. You look at the family law courts, the CPS courts, child trafficking, that's blood money right there, overuse of the military industrial complex, and, causing harm to our veterans and not taking care of them. That's blood money, So anyway, I think you get the whole thing. We could kind of tie blood money in with most of the things that people like you and I explore, Charlie,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
How do we find you? Where do we find you?
So VemMiller.com, AmericaHappens.com, our new website, MediaAssassins.com, which, by the way, Charlie, that's the one thing I'd mentioned earlier is like we're going after individual corrupt judges, lawyers, corrupt social workers, corrupt politicians. And as opposed to being like, oh, this is the bigger problem, let's kind of dissect the problem and be like, all right, that's a judge that's doing these crazy decisions that are putting people's lives at risk. Let's really focus on her. And that's what really Media Assassins is about. We've been fortunate enough to take down 4 judges, which, they say judges are unimpeachable, but not really when you focus on them and you go after them. So anyway, that's our new platform. And that's pretty much, not Vem Miller on X, because they won't give me my Vem Miller back, Yeah.
I have an X page at Charlie Simons, but I haven't really done a lot with it. I've never really pushed it. Once Elon came into the picture and changed it from Twitter to X and said, this is going to be a kinder, gentler platform for conservatives. Okay, great. Well, we'll see what happens. But one of the first things they did, because I was going live on there, and then one of the first things they did was, oh, by the way, if you want to go live on here, you have to pay now.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I'm bringing content to your platform. And if I get a reward out of it, fantastic. But no, so I just quit. I'm not live on there at all anymore. YouTube barely limping along because they delete my stuff all the time. But
terrible.
I,
Terrible.
I think
The
I thank
censorship.
God for Rumble. I thank God for Rumble.
Hmm.
I hope it never changes. I mean, there's people are talking about now that they went public, and there's a lot of bad people have come in, and Blackwater and State Street and firms like that supposedly own big stock and Rumble and all that. I don't know if it's true, but rumble.com/do not talk. That's where I've
Yeah.
been focusing everything. I hope I'm not making the same mistake I made with Facebook, putting all my eggs in that basket. But that's where I am. Are you on any of the other ones that I keep telling people keep telling me I need to be on Getter, I need to be on Telegram, I need to be on all these different. I need to start a Substack.
Hmm. Man,
Um,
I went on a rampage with all of those because I got worried, when I heard the thing about Rumble, like because we're on Rumble, that's our prominent place, and X now, but it's really sketchy. It's really sketchy when it comes to the censorship because even on X, people get banned all the time. So now we're on, I mean, on our America Happens platform, I think we're on like 20 different things, like literally, where it's like X, Instagram, Kick. What else is there? Getter, pretty much you name it, just in case. Because unfortunately, we're the kind of guys they come after.
they do come after us, and like what happened to me with Facebook, I put all my eggs there, and look what happened. The bottom dropped out, and now suddenly it's hurt me. It has hurt me, but it's all in the Lord's hands. I'm not gonna worry and fret about any of that anymore. It's all in the Lord's hands. I'm just gonna keep doing what I do and being who I am, and not letting consultants tell me I can't talk to Vem Miller.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's
We
too
got we
controversial. Don't have Vem Miller on.
we speak to an audience of one. Ultimately, I think people like you and I think we really care that we're just doing the right path, and audiences are up and down and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But trying to make money at this has been interesting. But you can help us by supporting, for example, me. I have a merch tab on my website. You can help by buying some of my products at charliesimons.com, which you see right down there, right there. That's how you help. That's how you get involved. And support us, support this alternative media crowd because we're fighting battles that oftentimes you don't even know about.
Yeah.
Including a spiritual battle. I mean, that's a very real deal. So pray for us. If nothing else, pray for us. Nothing better you can ever do for anyone than pray for them. Vim, anything we didn't cover you'd like to cover?
I don't know, man. You're awesome. I love being on your show. I loved hanging out with you at this event. And it's funny. One thing I wanted to mention is I don't think people understand how cool like this group that was at the Kim Yeater thing was, right? And I'll let me tell you a quick little story. I come down there with a high school friend of mine who's like, dude, I know you're really involved in this stuff. They called you the third assassin. You make documentaries. And I don't want to get sucked into it. But he was very happy to join. And after really like a day and a half of hanging out with all you guys, he was like, dude, he's like, I'm 100% all in. This is actually like, he's like, I don't even care about the money. He's like, this is actually giving me something meaningful to pursue, which is helping out candidates like the ones we so, dearly love. And he's all in on it. And this happened on the day that I got my car stolen. So I lose my car. I ended up going to this event. 3 hours later, which by the way, at the hotel, I was like, "Nah, I'm not leaving this room because I'm just going to sit here and cry," But then I went to this event. My friend forced me, and honestly, like I'm looking at those interviews, and I forgot about the car. That's the point. I forgot about the car, hanging out with you, Charlie, hanging out with Kelly, hanging out with the wonderful, Kim Yeater crew out there. And yeah, that just shows you what's important. I mean, I was so spiritually uplifted by all of yours company, just being there. So,
Good. Right on, buddy.
yeah.
Vim Miller, all the best, my friend. Keep in touch.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Support people like that. Get involved with what they're doing. Follow them. Watch them. Turn off Fox frickin' News. They're so compromised now. I'm telling you what, man. Um, we got to be building up our own little platforms. We got to be building up our own communities. What happens when Trump is out of office? let's say they're able to keep J.D. Vance from winning election as president, and I hope he does run in 2028, and we get another freaking Democrat, or God forbid, a rhino. It's going to quietly be dismantling all these things that President Trump put into place to try and make America great again. It's going to happen there. We got to be building now. Our consortium of people that we're relying on for commerce, we're relying on to be uplifted. Find yourself a church, a good Bible preaching and believing church. Don't worry about the music and their bells and whistles and their laser light show and oh, this pastor, he's so cool. Don't let that be what. Get right with God and read God's word for yourself. That will change everything for you. A chapter a day keeps false teachers away. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America, but most importantly, America bless God.